GIS freaks, data garbage managers or data collection managers, or just moderators. Unless we think in our curricula how to change this. So how to remain in the business by balancing the brighter sides and the darker sides of smart technology. Local governments will have to be reorganized. I don't know whether you have, in Germany we have at least no city local government which has a special government department for dealing with smart infrastructure development. Something is done in transportation, something is done in with the mayor's office, something is done in utilities, but urban planning is still not yet involved in that. And cities tend, of course, to favor technical solutions. That is always easier to convince people to do that than socially balanced solutions. We know that very well. Cities depend on the bargaining power of a few global ITC giants and monopolies. They are convincing cities to focus on smart technologies. Privacy concerns caused by big data collection and storage are largely neglected. The risk dimensions of smart systems are underrated. What to do? I think I mentioned that already. Of course, the Smart City Crusade will force local governments to build up the new digital infrastructure. They have no chance not to do it, but I feel they should monitor the local impacts of local digital technologies. They should formulate new strategies for urban development and revise urban development priorities. So strategic urban development has to be revised. Staff has to be retrained, new staff has to be recruited, and if the planning schools do not provide the expertise for these kind of things, then civil engineering will take over. And we see that also in Germany, though many geography departments are now focusing on GIS and geo-information systems, not on the social impacts. The planning schools are stagnating because their staff is not so much needed in the future. We have to revise regulation. We have to see to which extent regulation is hindering to study these impacts. We have to balance top-down and bottom-up, and we have to train our students, and we have to retrain planners to try to resist to the influence and power of IT corporations. But I'm a little, so maybe that is a little bit negative, but I think IT corporations will employ planners in the future. Because they feel, oh yeah, if we want to sell it, and then arguments like the one Kunzmann brought this day, we have to resist to these arguments. We have to prepare what to argue against the negative challenges. And then you need social scientists, then you need planners. And so IBM and Siemens and so on, Mercedes-Benz, they will employ people in order to deal with these things. So the public sector, government or consultants will not be the only ones in the future employing planners. So I don't go into details. Vienna is trying to smart city development to bring all these things together. I have been told recently in Hong Kong and in Taipei, one of the problems of smart city development is that we have in these two areas too many silos, government silos, and economics, culture, social science, and so on, and they don't talk to each other. So the smart city corporations, they are clever. Yeah? They know how to play the respective. But what we have to do is we have to convince local governments that there is more communication between the silos on the aspect of smart city development. Hong Kong is has done a strategy. I don't know whether there is a strategy for Tainan about digital infrastructure, but that could be a good task for this university to convince the mayor to do that. Smart Hong Kong, smarter living, they have tried to do that. But people told me it's a wonderful concept, but the silos don't talk to each other, so the concept is on paper, but not in reality. And that is another problem, you know, if you have these ICT corporations, they can sell the same report to each city. They just change the name of the city. Yeah? The wording is the same. Absolutely, you have to do smart, 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 smart. So, and only then smart Taipei, or smart Hong Kong, or smart Paris. But otherwise, the wording is absolutely the same. In smart comment, very briefly, there is a time and life beyond the smart city. There is a time and life beyond the smart city. We should be aware of that. At the moment, it is a Trojan horse, where the smart cities is coming into the city, like the Trojan horse came to Troya, and we have to be careful. But you see, there is the big eye, 1984, supervising what's happening. And thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. And I hope I brought you some ideas how to resist smart technologies while doing convenient things with smart technologies. Thank you very much. Any questions? Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay. Now, although it seems Professor Kunzmann start. Oh, I should introduce another guest, Madame Kunzmann. I forgot that. 我用中文没关系。Use Chinese. I'll say something evil about you.
My wife will tell you.
Yes, I know that. Okay. 我觉得虽然刚刚 Professor Kunzmann 他开始的时候，他的题目以及他大部分内容都是在讲这个所谓的 darker side， 但是实际上，如果各位同学有兴趣，那个positive side 一样，因为它提供了我们非常多的不同的案例在各个不同的地方所以如果我们要知道那些被 promoted 的东西是什么的话，一样我们上去 Google 一下，我们可以看到非常多的内容，对不对？这个可以节省我们非常多的时间去认识所谓不同地方正在做的这个 Smart City Program， 是什么样子的内容。那当然，这底下就会有很多很多，我们也可以很公平的从这样的角度，我们也可以公平的去检视刚刚 Professor Kunzmann 所担心的这些东西，从我们自己的角度到底是真的吗？还是我们跟他有不同的意见所以这样就有一个比较公平的讨论的机会所以我想这个我们换一个角度也可以这样。好，那所以现在是一个讨论的时间。Any question from you? OK， 不要客气，因为我刚刚一定要介绍那个我是Kunzmann的夫人的原因，就是因为她完完全全跟我们讲一样的语言没有关系。如果你的问题要用中文问的话，我们就要特别麻烦，对吧？Kunzmann夫人翻译成英文、德文都 OK。OK， 尽量能够用英文就直接用英文，只要你觉得需要用其他的语。还有另外一件事情，如果有人对创意产业啦、创意城市啦这些有兴趣，其实它也有相当重要的各种著作所以没有问题，都可以问。OK， no question。那就没有请。
If you don't talk in English, do it in another language. You find somebody.
Yeah.
Thank Thank you, Professor Kunzmann. I really enjoy your talk. Well, a lot of questions actually, but I might just start by asking I think especially in Taiwan, or also the current concern of the Beijing government as well, the increasing aged society. And Taiwan is becoming aged society in 2 years. So I'm just wondering, because smart technology and all those sort of phenomena currently, we are looking at, we are training new planners and expecting them to adapt. And I think that we are more focusing on the younger generation. So I'm just curious about how those silver people, the aged population, the individuals, that they can prepare themselves, be them single, staying in an apartment, or we are now encouraging that the aged people, the elder, actually can form their community. So I don't know whether there's any research more sort of looking at how the aged community or individually that they can adapt to such a changes. Thank you.
As I said, we were all surprised how fast the silver generation is using the new technology for new networks, for healthcare, for whatever it is. So I'm not afraid that the silver generation, as you say, will be left out. Just the opposite. Many of them will even feel it more convenient now to have all these new technologies with all these images and talk to the kids every morning if they like, even if the kids in the global society are somewhere else. But I think there is another thing we should consider, and there are some projects starting now, is that the old people want to live in a kind of communities where they have in addition to this new technology, have also opportunities to meet. And we have, for example, there is one movement which is becoming more and more popular, is that the multi-generation housing. So that people, the old family, grandfather, father, daughter, is dying out. But new types of families, which are not families, genetic families, and so are starting to become a new model. And there are some kind of housing cooperatives have become a big fashion now in Berlin, for example. And if the government is supporting these type of things by talking to the people and saying, what are your needs? What is your problem? And I think that is, we should not, I always feel that when I'm in mainland China, they look too much to Europe and to say we have to learn from Europe. They should ask the people what they want to do. Yeah? And the people would tell them, look, we have this problem and my kids are somewhere else and what can we do, and so on and so on. They can express their needs much better than by sending experts to Europe and study what's happening in London or what's happening in Netherlands. And then they come back and say, in Netherlands they do this. And then the politicians in Beijing say, yeah, that is Netherlands, but we are here in Beijing, we have to do something different. Yeah. So I think that monitoring the demands of people and not following the promises of industries and experts would help a little bit more to meet the demands of the next generation. Yeah? And I think that one thing I did not mention today is the future problem we have all over the world, especially in developed countries like Europe or in Taiwan, is we don't have enough jobs anymore. Yeah? With smart technologies will reduce available jobs. So what do we do with the people? Yeah? What kind of policies should we develop? Some people in Switzerland and in Helsinki, in Finland, are talking already about, we give every citizen who is born in the country a basic salary. Instead of insurance, instead of unemployment payments and so on, everybody gets. So if he wants to be creative, He can be creative, he can do whatever he wants to do. If he wants to earn more money, he can go into property business. But everybody gets a basic salary, and the basic salary is paid by the taxpayer. So some people say, no, that is a nonsense. Yeah? Then people are getting lazy. I don't think people are getting lazy, but they maybe become very creative by saying, okay, I have a basic salary. I don't need to rush for money. I have some ideas, but I need some time to develop these ideas. I don't need to compromise now. Yeah? So I develop slowly. I can live in the countryside, for example. Now young people have to live in a big city. But if they would have a basic salary, they could also live in the countryside and say, look, I live in the countryside. I have fresh air, I have fresh water and so on. And I get a basic salary. And if I want to do something more than that, it's okay. Yeah, it's not. So, but these are scenarios. And I feel in our field, planning, we have to develop more scenarios. What are the different pathways? What are the different corridors? And there is not one, not the eco-city, the smart city. We need different scenarios. And then we have to discuss with the politicians, with the business communities. So what is the vision for Taiwan? If you ask me, if I may say so, as a visitor I should not say so, I feel there are not enough visions for the future of Taiwan. There is a lot of political bargaining and political discussion about parties in green and blue and green and half blue, whatever. But what is the future of the Taiwanese society? I think there should be more thinking about the future under different conditions. Yeah? 100% smart city development or smart technology. I would not use smart city anymore. Smart technology development. Yeah? Or totally, Taiwan in the future is totally dependent on agriculture. So we use all the technology, all our knowledge to develop Taiwan as a culture, as a green agricultural society with high-tech agriculture and low-tech agriculture. So we combine both, yeah, the upper scale and the lower scale. So, but one can develop, I have not studied that, but one can certainly develop all kinds of scenarios for the future of the country and for the future of a city without looking to the West. And without always looking, oh, will mainland China, what will mainland China do? What will mainland China do? Will we have another war or not? No, or we do, should we cooperate or should we not cooperate? What will our industries do? Mainland China is more and more competitive, and what will remain with Taiwan? So that, I think that is something, especially the young generation. You should drive the government to develop new visions for the future, and not just political visions. Visions for the people of Taiwan, not for the visions of for the politicians of Taiwan.
志宏老师，你隔壁这位同学是吗？没有吗？你手机放在那里。
May I ask you something about strategic planning?
About?
Strategic planning.
Strategic planning, yeah.
You have said that our strategic plan for national special development summary is a state of the art. Could you explain what it exactly means?
Whether your national spatial planning is state of the art?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, where did you read that? Maybe I had to be polite.
The strategic plan for national special development summary. You say this plan is a state of the art. Could you explain what that exactly means?
What is the state of the art, or what? Yeah. I would need another 6 hours for explaining the state of the art of national spatial planning. I tell you at the moment it's a little bit difficult because Europe has not much interest anymore in national spatial planning because the problems we have are now refugees from Syria, and national spatial planning is not a big political priority. But the objective, of course, of strategic spatial planning is exactly to balance top-down and bottom-up development, to have a balanced urban development, yeah? Not just having 2 cities or 3 cities which are dominating. Small cities are as important as big cities and so on. If you look at documents from Europe, you find hundreds of documents telling you what are the strategic criteria for spatial development. And don't forget, spatial development is just one very small policy area. Economic development is much more important in our societies. So the market holds the world, not the planner holds the world.
Professor Kunzmann, thank you very much for your presentation. And I do have a question that responding to your presentation is that I do really enjoy the part that you talk about the dark side of smart city, because we really need to have that balanced voice, especially now everybody's going after smart city phenomenon. And I do like to hear from you that if there is a need for the planning department to develop a program or something called Smart City Program. And what do you think is the most important things to teach? Thank you.
To teach? What is the most important thing to teach?
Yes.
That the planning department alone cannot do it.
Okay, then.
That's what you have to teach. Yeah, because that is the problem, that the smart city is not done by the planning department. Yeah.
So what should we do, Alice? Or any suggestion you have?
Yeah, you have to, if you work, I mean, why don't you start thinking about, oh yeah, we take a group of 15 students, we do a lot of brainstorming for a year and think about what is the impact of smart technologies for this city. And then, if you start thinking about that, and the students, you think about mobility, you think about water, you think about energy, you think about people, you think about shopping. So all these areas which I mentioned. Yeah? And then at the end of the year, yeah, then you sum up all these things and you start discussion among students. So learning by exploring, so to say, the complexity of these smart technologies. I think that's what you can do in teaching. I did last November, I did a 4 weeks seminar with students in Nanjing, 15 Chinese students, and we did something like that. We selected 5 areas of the city of Nanjing, 1 shopping center, 1 residential area, 1 cultural district, 1 health, and 1 university district. And I asked the students to explore what is the impact of smart technologies on the life of the people in this respective area. And then the students said, oh yeah, you give us literature. I said, no, I said, you go out, you talk to the people, and you ask them what is the impact. And then they went to the shop owners and asked the shop owners, what does it mean? And they said, oh, we have these difficulties and these difficulties. And so the students learned from the residents, from the shop owners, from the users, what the difficulties are. So that is important, not from any literature from United States or from Germany, so learning locally. And I still remember the last evening when we were sitting together, then I said, what did you learn in this project during the last 4 years? And I was very surprised to hear then that, and they said, what we learned from this studio was that we have to talk to people, which is normally not taught. Yeah? Architectural professors don't tell the people to talk to students. They said you have to look at the journals, you have to see what these big star architects are doing. but the people don't play a role. So that is, and this is one example, but if you start thinking about these things, then you can say, oh yeah, what would be good for Taiwan? And then you can develop things gradually, talking about these kind of things and preparing the students and preparing them so to talk to engineers, to talk to civil engineers, to talk to other disciplines who are dealing with the sector. Yeah? Maybe it would be great to have a project like this, not just with planning students, but having ICT students, planning students, social scientists, energy specialists, bringing them together and then let the students fight against themselves. Yeah? You have one group is pro-smart and the other one is against smart. So that could be done. Yeah? Learning by arguing, by communication.
Sorry, that for my second question. Just quickly, but thanks for your previous answer because you already touched on the very issue on methodology. Because as you're finishing with, encouraging more research and we need to understand the people and the real needs. I'm just wondering whether you have a sort of, can you elaborate on the methodology more, what you think that will be most effective in terms of real understanding the people, because as you know, the limited budget and resources for the current research availability. So how would you recommend in terms of methodology?
I always, but I know that even our planning community is divided. I'm very much supporting qualitative research. And I know that it is much easier to do quantitative research. So collecting data does not help us to solve the problem. Yeah, it gives us a few arguments. But we all know that with data you can play, you can cheat. Yeah? How you can cheat with maps. Yeah? Wonderful architects, planners are doing wonderful maps. You can cheat people with maps. You can cheat people with data. So I think stories, narratives are very important in our planning education. Yeah, if you tell students, look, go there and ask the people about their experience, and then you write up a story about how did you succeed to get the politicians to do that? How did you succeed to throw the engineer out? And so on. So these kind of stories are so important in planning, to have the experience. Yeah? And these data don't tell you this one. Most data are aggregate data and say, oh, so many people are using this in this time and so on. Okay, it's good to know. But if you want to do some special strategic development for a city or for a region or for a village, it's to learn from stories, like kids learn from grandfathers and grandmothers. Yeah. I think planners should use more qualitative stories. Even in my country, even sociologists have now started they are always doing this quantitative research and empirical studies and econometrics and all these kind of things. It's okay, but for planners, I think we need more the qualitative dimension. But I tell you one story, just together. I recently wrote a paper for an international renowned journal and about what can China learn from Europe. And then after half a year, I got remarks of 2 reviewers back and says, oh, your paper has some difficulties. The difficulties are you are not doing. You have too much opinion and not enough data. And I said, I want to have opinion and not data. And in the end, they had to give up. But I had difficulties to convince them that my paper is qualified, even if I do not use quantitative data. That is the problem. And you know why. I mean, with quantitative data, you are unpolitical. As soon as you are doing qualitative information, you are becoming political. And then maybe you are in danger, or you feel you are in danger. Your career is not good. But I think it is not the case. You can really use qualitative data, and if you want to really target people to improve their living conditions, you have to have stories how other people could solve a problem locally in the village. How did this village succeed to avoid that a motorway is cutting off one part of the village and so on. These kind of stories are so important in urban development. To learn from others locally, not in the United States, not in Germany, how you can do, how you can improve, how you can address challenges.
Yes, thanks for you, Professor Kunzmann's presentation. And I have some very original definition about the smart cities concerns. When people talking about smart city, it always talking about using the smart technology or smart phone or smart device to collect information. But what as a geographer in urban planning, I think the context of smart city is about to make decisions smart. Not just because we got ICT infrastructure and we got a smart technology like iPhone and so on. But the situation we got ICT infrastructure, but we make stupid decision. So if we got if the definition of this smart city is based on the big data can help us to make smart decision, where the dark side of the smart city you mentioned in your presentation still the truth, or still your concern, or you will give another scenarios of the issue related to the smart cities.
Well, maybe I have not made me clear. I would not use smart city for urban development, and I would not try to define the smart city. You can develop 100 definitions of smart cities. IBM has one, and Siemens has one, and Toshiba has one, and maybe some professors have a definition of smart cities. I think that is not important. So we have the fourth industrial revolution, we have new technologies, and we use new technologies in urban and regional development. And how much we use these new technologies, every city, every region has to find their own way. So smart Hong Kong is different from smart Taipei, but I would not use smart Hong Kong and smart Taipei because, as I told you, 10 years ago it was creative Hong Kong and creative Taipei, and in 10 years it will be sponge Taipei and sponge Hong Kong, and then it will be whatever it is. Yeah. So I would not define that. I think that is, don't waste your time with definitions. Academics always want to define things. I think we should not waste too much time in definitions. Then you are searching on the Google, he has that, and he has that, and he has that. And then you find in many papers today, so the first 5 pages of a scientific paper is Mr. Who has said this, and Mr. Wang has said this, and Mr. Fong has said this, and 5 pages you are citing what other people have said. And then you are collecting a few data, and in the end assess, I have not another new idea from what they have said earlier. I think that is not what we should do.
So I still think that we should have some basically assumption about the smart city. So what I'm concerned is we should make smart decision not just because we use smart technology.
Now we should make good decisions, not smart decisions.
So
And we should make human decisions and not smart decisions.
it becomes a discourse.
In the beginning, you talked about the implication of smart, especially in the European context.
Yeah,
It's always with something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a kind of selection of words in a way. But I think one of the main part of Professor Lin's question is about the scenario. You already mentioned.
Yeah.
So that means, originally I had a question, almost the same as Celine and Xiaolin. Yeah. After you said about the scenario in different places is important, I think perhaps I got the answer.
Yeah.
The key answer. So it's like that the adoption of technology is inevitable. However, there are different ways of adaptation to the technology and the
Different speed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Is that what you're trying to?
Different speed
Yeah.
of introduction of new technologies, different policy reactions. Yeah. So rather top down or rather bottom up. So you can define, so to say, the criteria in a way that you say, I want to develop scenarios and I have 5 criteria. One is the speed, one is the space, one is the governance, and so on. So the government is very strong or the government is very weak, and then you can say, what is the impact of it? So to answer your questions again about smart, good governance is the better word than smart governance. And what is good, you have to define for a Taiwan position, not for the global position. What is good for Taiwan may be bad for Germany. What is good for the United States is certainly not good for China.
So it's really interesting because you start with smart in the horse market, and then your last slides you use the Trojan.
So when I promised to Professor that I will come back, and I would be interested to see in 5 years when I will be back, how many of your master degree dissertations are dealing with the darker sides of smart technologies for Taiwan.
Good idea. And in fact, perhaps I should add one thing, maybe a piece of information to you, because you mentioned a lot of maybe let's say scenario based on different combination of expertise, rather than just decided by one is the big ICT company, or another decided by the planner only. Yeah, here in NCKU we have recently a lot of project, cross-disciplinary project. So we try to collect, let's say, wisdom. Even the young people, they have their wisdom from different backgrounds. Yeah. So there are more and more so-called workshop type or studio type project in the campus already. So we were very much encouraging this new activities.
That's what I answered to the lady, that could be having students from different departments, not just teachers, but also students, to doing this kind of work together for a certain time period.
Well, I think young faculty members sitting over there before, in fact, including Professor Lee, they've been very actively engaging in this kind of cross-disciplinary activities. Yeah. So maybe something with Professor Kunzmann? I know you already participated in a so-called knowledge city, right? There is another project in Germany.
So, Dank für die sehr schöne Präsentation. 我先用德文跟他们说，等一下再翻译。Ja, so, als ich in Dresden war, mache ich mit einem Forschungsprojekt, also sogenannten Knowledge Cities.
Ja.
Also wir diskutieren über die Situation unter den Bedingungen für Knowledge Society. Und wir haben auch gefunden, also mit ICT, da machen wir viele Dinge, also unterschiedlich, also nicht wie vorher. Sie haben gerade gesagt, also nur für Stadt oder Großstadt, Metropolis, haben Sie vielleicht auch Bild, Image für Countries. Also vielleicht nicht.
On a higher level.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the principle is always the same. If you look, can I answer in English for everybody, or should I answer in German?
Vielleicht spreche ich mit Chinesisch, also jetzt also ganz kurz.
Jetzt muss ich Deutsch antworten.
Nein, English is okay.
He wants to translate his question into Chinese first because he could not understand German.
Danke. Thank you.
我刚才问那个 Professor Kunzmann，就是说有没有可能在另外一个尺度，比较大的尺度，也有可能有这个 smart 这样子的现象？呀，比较深。
The knowledge society. But I answer now in English, or should I answer in German? Sorry, he doesn't understand. Okay, so yeah, die Wissensgesellschaft, das ist die Knowledge Society, Wissensgesellschaft. Wenn Sie ein deutsches Beispiel nehmen, ist, wir haben keine Hierarchie, sondern wir haben eine sehr räumliche, ausgeglichene Entwicklung und alle Universitäten haben dieselbe Qualität. Und die Science Parks sind spezialisiert, aber es ist nicht keine Hierarchie. Ja, ich glaube, dass einer der großen Vorteile der deutschen Entwicklung ist wirklich, dass wir diese sehr ausgeglichene polyzentrische Entwicklung haben. Ja, und das ist immer, whether it is local, Entschuldigung, entweder es ist lokal oder es ist auf der stadtregionalen Ebene oder es ist auf der Regionsebene oder auf der Bundesebene. Das Ziel ist immer ausgeglichene Entwicklung. Das steht in der Verfassung der Bundesrepublik Deutschland. Das ausgeglichene Lebensräume ist das erste Ziel der Verfassung. Nicht Economic Welfare oder was auch immer, sondern also nicht wirtschaftliche Entwicklung, sondern ausgeglichene Lebensräume, um jedem Menschen Zugang zu angenehmer Arbeit, angenehmem Wohnen, angenehmer Freizeit zu haben. So, das ist, ich weiß nicht genug über Taiwan, aber ich könnte mir vorstellen, dass Deutschland ein ganz gutes Beispiel für Taiwan ist, weil Sie haben hier Tainan, Sie haben Guangzhou, Sie haben Taipei, Sie haben New Taipei City. Die ganze Insel kann im Grunde genommen auch relativ ausgeglichen, sodass es keinen Unterschied macht. Und wenn Sie in München studieren, ist das Studium nicht mehr wert, als wenn Sie in Erlangen studieren oder wenn Sie in Göttingen studieren. Ja, sondern es gibt keine Hierarchie. So, ranking of universities is nicht important. Ja. Kein Mensch fragt Sie, oh, haben Sie Ihren Doktor da gemacht oder da gemacht? Sie haben einen Doktor gemacht. Einfach ein Thema. Und das ist genug. So.
soll ich übersetzen？Professor Kunzmann 刚回答，用另外一个例子回答我刚才问的那个尺度的问题。他说在德国并没有，就是说从整个德国的架构都是多核心的架构，是分权的架构，所以说没有那样子的那种我们说 hierarchy 的那样子的关系。所以说我刚刚问的问题就是说有没有可能有更大的尺度？其实另外一个相反的问题是更小的尺度的 smart 的现象，但他认为在 smart 现象，以德国的例子来说，它是一种多核心的分权的那样子的架构，所以说不会有这种尺度的问题在这个 smart city 的这个概念里面产生。那是他刚刚的回答。
某种程度也很符合他刚刚讲的，其实从 local 的角度做 local 的 decision 跟 adaptation， 我想这是始终，因为我想听一个人演讲或说话，是要看他整个系统的这个一贯性我感觉上很多东西是互相支援的也许这样子来想呢，可能就可以理解。为什么他讲的是所谓 darker side， 他不是完全的否定什么，但是他是说有利有弊。那一般人只讲利，而且这个利都来自于大的商业集团，特定的利益他去推，而且是试图到处都适用，但实际上不是这样，所以它是 darker side。Okay, yeah, so. I'm afraid we are. I always like this, you know. Yeah, please.
Thank you for Professor Kunzmann. Actually, I got my PhD in the Netherlands, and I just back for no more than 2 years. And I have no question actually, but I have one phenomena I observed in Taiwan I want to share with you. The funny thing is when you talk about darker side of smart cities, you mean, and I totally agree. But the other thing is, the funny thing is, because of the darker side, people know our own limitation. Even in Taiwan, in NCKU, now there's a group of students, they actually in the engineer department. They found out computer engineer department. They found they can use, they have the technique, but they don't have the knowledge. So they call for cooperation, because they know in NCKU we have so many professionals. And the thing is also remind us that we need to cooperate with each other if we want to have smart city. And even in IBM, they also mentioned the smart city, one of the indicators is smart people, means smart participation. So I will say I will not so positive about that. Actually, it reminds us our limitation. We need to cooperate with others. So it's my observation.
Yeah, I cannot, that is clear. Yeah, so, but if you cooperate with the engineers, and so it's easy to cooperate with them and say, oh, we apply your technologies for this, this, and this, and this. But in the same minute, you should tell them, if you apply it to this, you should take care of that. So, I think that is the only thing you can do. Yeah. And maybe then some engineer says, oh yes, I have a, you say smart, I don't would like to use it. I have a smart idea. I can make some better things than my colleague engineer. Yeah? So I do it more in a social dimension than in a money dimension. But you know, if you have been in the Netherlands, you know there is one city, Eindhoven, and they are trying to be the smart city of the Netherlands. And they have already buses without drivers. And Philips is trying to the campus is, the Philips factory is almost empty, and then they ask all kinds of smart startups to do some work there for Philips or not for Philips. So the total factory area of Philips has changed, and the city tries to become a leader in smart development in the Netherlands. But they call it Brainport, as you know, yeah?
Yeah, actually, it's one of my case studies.
Yes, indeed. 50% of her thesis is about Eindhoven.
I see.
我只是这个comment的，
那个现在更大的人出现，一个家庭里面最大的都是夫人。Okay.
So in Asia, in Europe is equal. That's the point I just want to make.
Okay.
不好意思 So sorry, Professor Kunzmann, I just interrupt you. No, I just want to make 2 comments about this discussion. And I will say it in Chinese if you don't mind. And one is about
you can tell me later.
The student participation in Dortmund, which 就是刚才您刚刚就是提到这个要教什么事情，因为对话了以后，我就是有一点，我想在这个地方就增加一下一个解释吧。因为多蒙的大学的 planning school 是一个，就是纯粹是一个 planning school。那么在这个入学的学生，从入学的第1天开始，要做的一个很重要的一个工作，学习的内容就是要去和当地的或者说和真实的事实要直接接触，就是要和人和他的周边的社群和社会直接接触。这个呢，就是说我刚才想在刚才过程当中这个讨论的时候给您一个就是增加这么一个信息吧。第二个一个就是回到您刚才跟他的一个对话的时候也提到的这个一个层级的关系，就是说德国这个整个社会的这个机制呢，它是非常强调的一种均等的发展机会，就是尽可能的让各个区域的发展是属于一个共同达到一个均衡的水平向上。但是我们知道这个其实均衡是不存在的，但它是主要的是尽可能的就是做出最大的努力，让这种均衡去减小，是不能消除，但是让它去减小。同时呢，它在很多的就是它在教育的这个层面来讲呢，它是不分1层学校、2级学校、3级学校。它就是说，像大陆讲重点、非重点，在德国是没有这个概念的。所有的大学，它就尽可能让所有的大学是同等的，提供同等的教育质量。所以它不是说你是从慕尼黑大学毕业的学生就会比你从柏林大学毕业的学生好，它没有这个概念。在德国来讲是整个学生没有，老师也没有。那他是说什么？你是博士毕业，你就是博士毕业。当你是博士毕业，不管你从任何一个学校的博士毕业生，你都已经具有了博士毕业生应该具有的水准。所以他就是说，在层级上来讲，他也没有这样的一个概念，所以他没有一个区域的这样的一个区分，不是说你这个在东区的学校就会比在西区的学校好，他也没有这个概念，没有说南部的学校就会比北部的学校好。所以说呢，这个里边的概念使得他的每一个人的这种比较不能是均等了，就是说大家就是说这个差异的这个概念里面就是比较小，他更关心的是实质的这个每一个问题的更实质的内容。啊，这个是我想补充的这个2点，就这2点。
好，
谢谢。
是的，所以从各个角度，我们谢谢那个师母的补充哈，因为我想我们都学过这个中地理论哈，那个 central place theory 哈，它其实在 you know central place theory of course， 在相当程度上被很早就应用到德国的整个国土跟区域的计划哈，就是一个比较 regional urban system 跟 regional development system 的问题。可是就像刚王老师所说的，其实还是有一些多多少少会不太一样，所以我们替那个刚刚的 Dortmund University 广告一下，一个大学的规划科系就有1200个学生，60个老师，这样的一个规模，它当然在整个德国来看，它就会是一个最强的一个 planning school。 我当年差点就去申请动物。所以某个程度来讲，每个 region 到最后或城市还是会有它独特的一个强的地方，这是不可避免的。但是从起头点来讲的话，比较一个均等的资源分配，我想大概是刚刚要说的那个重点哈。我们的时间是已经超过我刚刚本来就想找谢老师的学生当代表，来。不是你现在不是谢老师学生 ，OK， 你要说是。
Wait a minute.
I'm the fourth grader in the graduate school, and usually in our studio class we would have higher grades if we use smart city concept or creative city concept, and it's also very common in Taiwan to follow these concepts. Like for example, in Tainan, we are at the same time creative city, and we are at the same time smart city and resilient city. All the cities combined together. So I'm curious about that in European or in Germany, in the planning school. What is your attitude toward these new concepts? Do you encourage students to follow them, or?
You know, this is not a concept we follow in planning education. Now we are not talking about Mac City. You know, McDonald's, Mac Coffee, Mac City, and this is not. The people are in not the slogan. You are not a fashion designer and say we have to sell Armani, I have to sell Gucci, I have to sell Adidas or so. So that I think we planners should not be marketing for something. We should talk with the people and talk with the industries, and the label is not important. The content is important. And I hope, I don't want to intervene, but I hope you don't get a higher degree if you say, oh, I'm doing the smart city, I get better degree if I'm doing smart city. My degree will be less if I do creative city, less if I do eco city. And if I just say city, I will not pass the examination. Now, that would not be the right thing.
Right. Yeah. OK. 所以刚刚另外一个重点，其实我们早就知道，学术界这个流行，每几年就有一个流行的词出现。那我们不要跟着流行跑而已。OK， yeah, I think we already. Okay. This is
the master of the time.
But I think first of all let's give Professor Kunzmann a big thanks for his precious wisdom, not smart. Wisdom, okay, and
experience.
Yeah. 借着大家都在这边，我们还是有一点比较正式的仪式要进行we have some formalities. Yeah. 我们谢谢。
Thank you very much.
这个是 Professor Kunzmann 送给我们的信，那这个是我们送给他的一点点纪念。
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for your time. He makes this work.
Yes. Okay. 谢谢大家。